I used to go for lessons and everything, but I was just like, oh, this is a chore, than an actual, like, oh, we're doing music for life kind of a moment. Everyone was just better than me. I want to be in that seat, in the hot seat, all day, every day of my life.
Nice of you to join us. My name's Kevin. Here's another episode at Liness Studio. Today we have the pleasure of interviewing Samarth Dhawan, an audio engineer with global clientele ranging from Tina Turner to Nile Rodgers to Usher, as well as working with Grammy-winning engineer Dave Pensado. Let's dive in.
All right, Sam, we've heard your mixes, we've seen your credits, so take us back a little bit, where everything's all began. Where did little Sam say, this is it, this is the music?
Yeah, it kind of started when I was 5, playing guitar. My mom put me in guitar lessons with like this massive blue guitar, which was, I'm left-handed, so the guitar was right-handed because we didn't know better. And
it's like a 5-year-old playing a bass guitar.
Pretty
basically.
much.
Yeah.
And it was just, I really wasn't getting a hang of it. Like, I used to go for lessons and everything, but I was just like, oh, this is a chore, and not something that I actually want to do. So then, I still went to the lessons and this, that, and then I kind of just stopped for a while because we moved from my hometown. We moved to the south of India a little bit, and we were there for 2 years. So I kind of stopped and, started doing other things. When I moved back to my hometown, it was like, okay, let's just, pick up the guitar again and start taking lessons. And, like the instructor used to come home. We used to learn how to play Sweet Child of Mine all the time. And, so that kind of got me more excited about doing music because I was actually able to play the songs I liked
Right.
on the guitar.
Usually the good start.
Yeah, exactly. And
So it gets you caught in it. Yeah.
exactly. And I was just like, oh, if I can play, Stairway to Heaven, songs that I grew up on. And so that kind of got me going into getting back into guitar and actually liking it. And I used to be in my school band all the time. We used to play inter-school competitions and stuff like that. So that really motivated me to, and, made me feel like, oh, this is something I can actually do and pursue. And, but it was, even at that time, I would say it was more of a hobby than an actual, like, oh, we're doing music for life kind of a moment. Then I went to the Berkeley summer program in Spain. That was a 2-week program in 2016. And everyone was just better than me. And they were like, it was just so easy. I could see like how easy the instrument was for them. And even then, like at the time I had been playing like 5-6 years and it wasn't as easy. So that's when I got first introduced to the whole studio world because we were tracking Superstition by Stevie Wonder. And, it was just an instructional class kind of a thing. And we recorded it and I came back in the studio and I heard it and it sounded amazing. Like, I was just like, that is not me. I do not
like
play.
there's some magic happening.
Exactly. That is not me. I do not play like that.
What kind of witchcraft
Yeah,
is this?
exactly. Like, what's going on here? Because that's not what I heard. And then, I started talking to the instructor who was a mixing engineer at the time. And when I kind of felt that I could sound like that, and I was just like, oh, I want to be in that seat, in the hot seat, all day, every day of my life.
You want to make magic.
Exactly, because it just really transformed me without me even noticing, but it was such a big difference. So that's kind of how I transitioned myself over into the studio world. And ever since then, I was like, okay, maybe guitar is not something I would pursue, as a musician, but I would more on the engineering side of things, because I can really like get into the song more and pick it apart and have fun with it. So that's kind of how it's in a short
Did you
summary.
continue to play shows here and there even at that time?
Yes, because I was just like, and it was all like cover stuff, so it was never like original music. But when you play like "Can't Stop" or "Ready Made" by the RCP, it's like, yeah, you're just having fun on stage. So I did enjoy those moments and playing with a band, but it was never something that I would do as a career. That was always something. Oh yeah, the band's playing. Let's go do a song with them, kind of a thing.
Did you find yourself spending much time doing live engineering?
So that's a great segue actually, because when I started playing shows and stuff, I was just like, oh, maybe if we can mix these two things together, like being in the studio and being on stage, which was live sound for me, and then playing on stage turned into doing live sound a lot more. And then the tours start and you're like, oh, we're living the rock star life, without even doing much. It's just like, yeah, you get your basic levels up, tune the PA, make everything sound good, call it a day, so that was a lot more exciting for me. And rather than just playing on stage. So I kind of just transitioned slowly to live sound world and then slowly into the studio world. But in 2016, I knew I just want to be in the studio for the rest of my life, probably.
And how old were you then?
16.
Oh wow.
I would say.
I was 16 when I decided I wanted to do music. At the time,
Yeah.
I wasn't doing much recording, but I was playing in bands, and I was like, "This
Right.
is cool."
Yeah.
And then as I got into more recording, I'm like, "Well, this is even cooler."
Exactly. It just gives me the ability to control emotion through just volume.
Mm.
That's mind blowing to me. Like, how can you do that? How is that even possible? But like, and that's what, like, those moments like that when you're really starting out and you're learning, and then all of a sudden somebody comes in who's a pro, and with just faders they got a great sounding mix, and it's like, what? They just changed volume. They didn't do anything else. And then on top of that, you add all this cool gear behind us. It's like, okay, now we're actually getting the feeling that I got when I was 16 with Superstition. I was like, they don't sound like that, but we make it sound like that. So I'm still like, mixing is like my first love.
And every
probably.
song is different, so it's just brand new almost every time.
So it
It's
never
a whole
gets
new fun.
absolutely, and it never gets mundane. And there are always new stuff coming out. And then when the new stuff comes out, you're like, oh, I forgot about that one thing I did 10 years ago. Let's bring that back.
Yeah.
And then you kind of just slowly build the song like that, and I just love that, to be able to just get into the song and then come out of it and then go back in again and then come out of it. Like, it's just super fun.
And as a creative outlet, even as maybe a lot of people think, well, mixing, you're super thinking technical, but there's so many creative things you could do too, that it's
Right.
Even though you didn't compose the song, you're bringing things out in creative ways that
Right.
are really cool and really fun to do.
Absolutely. And I feel like mixing that way uses both sides of your brain. It's one of the very few things in the world that, as a job, that uses both sides of your brain at the same time while having a client behind you is that's really exciting.
So you went to the University of Southampton and studied electrical engineering and graduated in 2021. Was that at all audio focused? And if not, are there things you apply to your audio engineering from that?
So it was definitely not audio focused. But I do like one of the biggest things I learned from going to an engineering school is problem solving.
And we do a lot of that.
Yes, I mean our whole in this side of the audio engineering world is definitely built on that. It's just problem solving. So, and you know, it just taught me like even though I'm very inexperienced in this situation, because like some of that stuff just went over my head because I'm not an electrical engineer, you know, and it was very like technical and mathematical. So that all that kind of stuff, to be honest, went over my my head. But like the one thing it did teach me is like how to just handle situations where you don't know. Like when you don't know anything, can you still do it? And I think that was the biggest takeaway I can say from those years that I spent there. And it was also because like at the same time I was going to London, which was like a 2 hour train ride from Southampton, and just doing live shows. So it definitely had a balance. Like I was doing audio, but that was kind of on my own time. But it just taught me how to like solve problems.
And we do a lot of that in live sound as well. And
Absolutely.
you have the time, everyone's looking at you to fix problems.
Exactly. It's like that one frequency that's killing everybody, and you're like,
and that's part of the
song.
Part of the double-edged sword of live, where I like it because it keeps you sharp, and but at the same time, sometimes it's a bit stressful because
Absolutely.
the audience is waiting and you have to solve something right there.
And another thing I do like about live is you can't go back.
Mm.
In the studio, I can sit on a kick drum for 8 hours. Not a problem. And then come back the next day and just change it.
Mm.
Like I have the freedom to do that, but in live sound you don't. You're like
you have to make quick decisions.
Exactly. And you just need to be very focused and decisive in the decisions you're making, and you just need to trust yourself and trust the band to give you what you need, and you need to give them what they need at the same time.
So they can give it their all. They hear
exactly.
it right.
So they're hearing
emotion.
Exactly. And when you kind of start out in live sound, you have to do both monitors for the band and for the front of house. So you have to do kind of both at the same time. So it's like if the guitarist is going like, "Oh, can you turn up the bass in my monitor?" But then it's like, "Oh, okay, I got to do that." But then at the same time, in the next section, the cymbals are getting really loud. So it's like doing two things at once. So it's just very
a lot of
thrilling.
multitasking.
Yeah, and it's very thrilling. Like it keeps you on your toes. Your nerves you get a little bit of anxiety, which I like, and it's just very exhilarating. So yeah, that's why I kind of was focused on doing live sound at the same time, and then learning electronics, which was like, all right, if the cable is broken, I can fix it on the spot, kind of a thing. So it was a mix. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, my electrical degree had nothing to do with audio. That's for sure.
But you still use it for definitely not just the problem solving, but maintenance wise when you have issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, just if the tubes are out, I know how to change those. If like I need to recap something, solder something, all that stuff is easy. Like very basic. But
did you ever build an amplifier?
In fact, I did. That was my final year project in electrical engineering, because I was just like, I don't know how to build like a code which does this and does that. I know how to build an amp. That's pretty easy. So yeah, that was my final year project.
You still have that?
I do.
That's cool.
Absolutely. Run guitars through it every now and then if I want like a shitty sound.
Sometimes you want a non-typical
tone. Absolutely. And like sometimes I would just use that like when I would get the guitars, sometimes I would just run it through the amp and then bring it back on the board and then just sneak it in a little bit, so that like that amp just has a lot of low end, to be honest. So I kind of stopped after the mid-range band, stopped focusing on it. So it was like, yeah, it just has mid-range and low end. So I'm like, all right, guitars
That's
like
cool.
that.
So fast forward and you coming to LA, how did that happen?
So I must have applied to like 700 studios around the
100?
world. Yes,
Wow.
absolutely. I have.
You were on that.
Absolutely.